It's been the most anticipated Supreme Court decision in years. The High Court Friday stripped away women's constitutionally protected right to abortion. It's a seismic shift for the nation, the product of a years-long battle to roll back Roe v. Wade by opponents of abortion rights. And it comes despite the fact that an overwhelming majority of Americans believe that abortion should be legal in most cases. So what does this all mean? What should we expect next? Jan Crawford is our CBS News chief legal correspondent.
When the Supreme Court handed down its ruling overturning Roe v. Wade and ending constitutional protection for abortion,
my body, my choice.
There was anger.
America's not ready for what's about to happen with the fall of Roe.
Abortion is our right.
Protest.
I won the day!
This is just the beginning.
And there was also celebration.
Alleluia. I woke up this morning praying for this.
As the seismic shift in American life set in.
I'm 21 and I'm terrified!
Calling Roe egregiously wrong from the start, Justice Samuel Alito, writing for the 5-4 majority, turned abortion policy back to the states. Far from bringing about a national settlement of the abortion issue, he wrote, Roe and Casey have inflamed debate and deepened division. Division that came into sharp relief as people scrambled to understand how their state was affected. As of late yesterday, abortion is illegal in 10 states, not available in 3 states as the law is unclear, and 13 are poised to enact bans or severe restrictions. States where abortion remains legal braced for an influx of abortion seekers and emboldened anti-abortion protesters.
I think from the moment that the Supreme Court decided to take this case, red states, blue states, people on both sides of this debate have known what is coming.
Jessica Levinson is a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles.
My students, and these are law students, and they're taking constitutional law, and they are shocked that Roe v. Wade will no longer be the law of the land. It's a country that even their mothers can't imagine.
Winning in the Supreme Court is a lot like Sesame Street. You have to learn to count. And the only number that matters is 5.
Attorney Catherine Colbert was not at all surprised by the ruling.
On this current court, there are 5 ultra-conservative justices who are not afraid to reverse historic opinions, who are not afraid to put their conservative views into the law. In our view, again, unless there are 5 votes to reaffirm Roe v. Wade, Roe has been overruled.
In 1992, she argued Planned Parenthood versus Casey before a largely Republican-appointed Supreme Court. She won, but just barely.
Luckily, Justice Kennedy switched his vote at the last minute and joined Justice O'Connor and Justice Souter to write the joint opinion in Casey that established the fundamental right to choose abortion for the next 30 years. Today, in a highly political and divided opinion, the justices responded with an extremely equivocal yes. It wasn't a slam dunk decision, but it was much better than what we are getting now.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
In 1973, when Roe was decided, there also were shockwaves nationwide.
The anti-abortion laws of 46 states were rendered unconstitutional.
In most states, abortion was illegal. 4 states, including New York, had only recently passed laws legalizing it. 13 others had started allowing it with restrictions. Those in the anti-abortion movement, believing the court silenced their deeply held views, mobilized immediately.
Our task in overturning that Supreme Court decision is the most just, the most vital cause of our time.
And have been marching and making their voices heard ever since.
Life, yes. Abortion, no. Roe v. Wade has got to go.
Disappointed by Republican judicial appointees and Republican presidents, the movement became more politically and legally strategic.
I think there's been a concerted effort for years now by the conservative legal movement that we don't want any more surprises.
No more David Souters.
No more David Souters, no more Anthony Kennedys. We don't want justices where we're not sure where they're going to come out. We want a done deal on a lot of these big constitutional decisions.
The justices that I'm going to appoint will be pro-life. They will have a conservative bent.
In 2016, Donald Trump promised to give them what they wanted and delivered 3 solidly conservative judges to the Supreme Court.
They were put on this court for a purpose, which was to overrule Roe and Casey. They are delivering on that mandate, and frankly, they're not going to stop with abortion.
And while Justice Alito's majority opinion insists that nothing in this court's decision should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion, Justice Clarence Thomas's separate opinion, which none of the other conservatives joined, raises questions about that.
When we look at cases like the right to obtain contraception, like the right to marry the partner of your choosing, maybe that's somebody of a different race, maybe that's somebody of the same sex, I would say the rationale of those cases is now in question.
But of course, you know, in the Dobbs decision, the court says, well, wait, abortion is different because that involves a life. Do you buy that?
I don't. Obviously, abortion is different than getting married. Obviously, abortion is different than using contraception. But in terms of the legal rationale and whether or not it gives room for the court to later overturn decisions like the decision saying marriage is a fundamental right, that there's the right to same-sex marriage, I think it leaves that room.
Do you see any efforts, say, to ban contraception?
I see not a single effort to do anything like that. Absolutely not.
Erica Bacchiacchi, a socially conservative legal scholar, sees this Supreme Court decision as long overdue.
I am gratified for a number of reasons.
Some of them reasons you might not expect.
I call myself a pro-life feminist.
Wait, are you saying that abortion rights is anti-woman, anti-feminist?
Yes, that is in fact my claim. There's all sorts of ways in which scaling back dramatically on what we've seen as an abortion right in this country can really help us to not rely on abortion as a backstop. And I think that kind of reliance has not been good for women.
She believes society should refocus on currently underfunded programs supporting women in terms of health care, better working conditions, and raising a family.
Obviously, not all women want to become mothers, but those who do are really not doing well in this country.
The angry abortion standoff, she says, has kept women from working together to find solutions.
So you see this moment when the court is overturning Roe, overturning Casey, that this is a moment of hope and potential change in a positive way.
Absolutely. Is there a way that people can then come together on right and left, maybe with different solutions to these problems, but at least can sit at a table together? That's my hope.
On this point, both sides agree there is hope. For Catherine Colbert, it's time for abortion rights advocates to get even more political.
Our opponents have been working for 50 years to take over the Republican Party and to be anti-abortion voters. And we need to be pro-choice, pro-abortion rights voters as well. And that means showing up at every election. There's 2 every year, not just once every 4 years. And lastly, and I think this is also equally important, we need to make some noise.
The Supreme Court is illegitimate.
Because, like it or not, this conservative court is likely to be with us for a very long time.
This court, if it stays together in some sort of form that looks like this for a number of years, is going to usher in a conservative legal revolution.